Good morning and welcome to the Global Online Ministry Alliance and AgapeDominion. I'm Derek Day and it is Sunday morning. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. Not because it's Sunday morning. Sunday is another day. But guess what? This is the day that the Lord made, and as we say, we will rejoice and be glad in it. Now, a couple of things that I want to do just to kind of level set before we get started. The Global Online Ministry Alliance is an awesome outreach ministry that was developed by Kyle Butler, Lynn Bennett, and Catherine Toon, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. And there's some awesome teachers in the GOMA, Global Online Ministry Alliance. On Sundays, we start off with Lynn Bennett Jr. Then we follow up with Kyle Butler, then Catherine Toon, and then myself. And then in the evening, we'll have Michael Porter. And then on additional days, we also have Corey Nathaniel, Mike Zinker, Lionel Sneed, Larry Martinez, and Henry Harris. And a really awesome lineup of people who really grasp what it means to be free in God. I mean, or just to be free, period. I mean, because listen, you were created by the architect of freedom to be free. And you were created by the architect of love to be loved. Do you understand how love and freedom go together? We're going to talk about that today. And before I go on, I want to tell you, you're listening to one of the greatest gospel songs in history. This is McFadden and Whitehead, Ain't No Stopping Us Now, from the Sound of Philadelphia. Listen, just because something doesn't talk about something churchy doesn't mean that it's not gospel. Listen, to know that there is nothing that will stop you, nothing that can stop you. The only thing that can stop you from doing anything that is in your heart to do is your own mind. That is your only limitation. And once we take that limitation off, then we can say that I can do all things according to He who dwells in me. So let me go ahead and bring my music down, and I want to talk about love. And love is the foundation for everything. It is so pervasive that when God created everything, you have to understand that God operated in this space that we call eternity. And then he stepped out into this void that we call nothingness, and he said something, and everything that we understand came from that word, that speech. Now, if God is creating, he only has one raw material to create with, and that's himself. And 1 John 4:8 tells us that God is love. So love is the foundation for everything because it's the raw material for everything. And what I really want to get to today is about love and the law of attraction. And I know when you say things like the law of attraction, people get their draws in a bunch because they say, oh, you're talking about this old new age stuff. Listen, the law of attraction is a real thing. You can only expect what you project. In other words, what you say is what you get. If you're not saying the right things, if you're not thinking the right things, then no matter what it is that you do, it will never line up and it'll never come to pass. This is why when what Jesus was demonstrating while he was on the earth was the power of the law of attraction. Things like turning water into wine, feeding the multitudes, cleansing lepers, healing the sick, raising the dead. Jesus didn't have any doubt about what he was doing. He was perfectly confident that what he would do or what he was doing would actually come to pass. And so what he was showing us is that what we project is what we can expect. Jesus' expectation was always success. Why? Because that's what he projected. And Because everything is made of love, if you're not projecting love, you can't expect love. And let me take it a step further, that if you're not projecting love, you can't expect anything that's made of love. And guess what is made of love? Everything that you know. See, here's the thing. God created the earth, and he created everything, and he put it at our disposal. There is nothing else. God is done with his creative work. It says that after 6 days, on the seventh day, he rested. In other words, he looked back on his handiwork and said, man, this is good stuff. Matter of fact, now that I put myself in it in the form of mankind, it's very good. So, here God has created everything. He's put everything at our disposal. The catch is that we have to figure out how to get it. And the only way that we can figure out how to get it is to tap into his wisdom. You have to tap into the mind of the manufacturer. It's just like if the check engine light comes on your car, you have to take it back to the Toyota dealer or the Mercedes dealer or the Rolls-Royce dealer, whatever it is that you drive. Because if you take it to the wrong dealer, they're not going to be able to diagnose the problem correctly. So you have to get into the mind of the Creator and get his wisdom. That's why I'm of the mindset now that the only people pray and they ask for stuff over and over and over and over. And I'm going to tell you, the only thing that you need to ask Papa for is wisdom. Why? Because everything else he's already created and he's already given it to us. The question is, do we know what to do with it when we get it? Now, let me talk about this for a second, because there are a couple of things. If you go and look in John 13, 34 and 35, it tells you how Jesus identifies the hallmark or the leading characteristic of what it is that we're supposed to project in order to demonstrate that we are his disciples. Okay? Now, we're all sons of God, but in order to show that we are awakened to this truth, it's love. Love is the key. If you're not manifesting, expressing, demonstrating love, then honestly, you're not awake. You listen, you're already saved and healed and delivered and all of these things, but you just haven't awakened to that truth yet. And what you're not awakened to, you can't react to. Okay? So, love is the hallmark of what we are. Love is the leading characteristic of what we are, because God is love, and we are created in his image to look like him and his likeness to be like him. Okay? So if we're looking like God and being like God, the only way that we can really accurately say that we are is through love. And people say, well, Jesus said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. Well, I think it's in John chapter 15, around verse 8 or 10, somewhere around there. But he said, this is the command that I give you, that you love one another as I've loved you. That's the command. It isn't the Big Ten, and it isn't the other 603 of the Deutero-Levitical law. It is simply this, that we love each other as Jesus loves us. That's it. So if you want to master the law of attraction, you can't master the law of attraction without love. Now, there are people out here who are not quote-unquote Christians, not quote-unquote Christ followers. However, if you look at their work, if you look at their body of work, you will see that they've mastered love. They've either mastered love for the product that they're selling or the service that they're delivering, or they've learned to love the customers that they're serving. But there is a measure of love that is essential to the success of anything. If there is no love, listen, if you go back and look at Apple computers, shameless plug. If you go back and look at Apple computers are not technologically superior to any other product. iPhones are not technologically superior to any other phone. iPads are not technically superior to any other tablet, yet and still they all sell like the MacBook, for example. It sells in its segment. It's not a bigger seller than the universe of PCs, obviously, but it probably sells more than any single brand of PC. And the iPhone is the biggest selling phone in the world, and the iPad is the biggest selling tablet in the world. And the reason that is that Apple has conveyed to its users that they are special because they use their products. In other words, they have demonstrated a measure of love to their customer base. And because their products, there's a certain design language that goes on in Apple products that identifies them as Apple products, but it not only identifies them as Apple products, but this design language says that the designers actually love what they're doing. In other words, they're not just trying to create something that's technologically sound, they're creating something that it's going to make you feel better about yourself. It's going to make you feel good for using it. And that's the love thing. That's the love component. You know, it's like design language. I always look at things like Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce, honestly, people, if you go and look at high-end magazines like the Robb Report or the DuPont Registry, you might see an advertisement for Rolls-Royce, but you won't see that like on television or in general advertising. Why? Because basically Rolls-Royce, everybody knows what it is. You can look at a Rolls-Royce and you know exactly what it is. And I remember years ago when I was in the Navy, I visited their old factory in Crewe, England, and I was able to take a tour and spend some significant time there. And the one thing that I noticed about everybody there is that they were all happy to be there. They were all filled with joy, and they had a love for each particular thing that they were working on. The people who were working on the leather, they had a love for what they were doing. The man who was making the grill, the traditional Rolls-Royce grill, this guy has a love for what he's doing, and he's painstakingly bending blades of stainless steel to put into this grill. The person that carved the hood ornament, the Spirit of Ecstasy, everybody, the people who are assembling the engines, the people who are painting the cars, everybody is loving what they do. They're loving these cars. And so every car that rolls off the Rolls-Royce assembly line, it has a measure of love that goes into it that makes it, matter of fact, the standard of love that goes into it is probably so high that it makes it superior to nearly every other car on the road. And listen, design language, let me talk about that for a minute, because there are certain things like you can look at a Cadillac and you know that it's a Cadillac. You can look at a Mercedes-Benz and know that it's a Mercedes-Benz. And we just had the unveiling of a new Corvette on Thursday, and even though this Corvette is a significant change over Corvettes past, you can look at the design language of this thing and you can say, yes, that is a Corvette. So when people look at us, our design language should be evident, and we're designed by love and designed in love and designed to be love. So when people look at us, they should see this love, and watch this. When they see this pure, unadulterated love, they will be attracted to it. Listen, I can't tell you how many times that as a consultant that I show up on a work site and people are just naturally gravitating toward me. Now, maybe, I know I don't frighten small children, but I'm not the prettiest guy in the world. But there's something about me that people gravitate toward. And it's not me per se. It's the love of God in me. And I've just learned how to turn that switch on. So people see the design language of God in me, and they're attracted to that. Why? Because all created objects are attracted to their creator. That's just that is a simple law of physics, of nature, or whatever. what the creation is always attracted to the Creator. But in the case of man, because we have the faculty to reason, we only are attracted to the Creator when the Creator is presented properly. So that means that when the Creator is shown in love, in his true being, in his true nature, in his true character, then he becomes irresistible. You know, people say, oh, people now are just rejecting Jesus all over the world. They're rejecting Jesus and they're rejecting Christianity. No, listen, y'all, they're not rejecting Jesus. They're not rejecting Papa. They're not rejecting, they're not rejecting any of that. What they are rejecting is the religious garbage that has persisted for centuries. Nobody wants to be constrained or, bound or anything like that. People want to be free. And I'm going to take another stretch here, and I'm going to say this, that besides the need to breathe and eat and to have water, that I believe that love is the greatest need beyond that. Because if you have all the essentials and you don't have love, I believe you'll die. I believe you'll die. And this is why I believe that a lot of people die spiritually. Their dreams, their goals, their ambitions, they die. Their relationships, their marriages, their relationships with children and their community, they die. Because love is not made manifest. Love is not fully expressed. And so the law of attraction simply says that if you are not projecting this, you cannot expect it. So watch this. People are walking around poor, sick, disenfranchised, disillusioned, disappointed, depressed, because their projection is incorrect. And again, your projection is only as good as your original image. In other words, your identity. So if you don't know your identity, if you're not rooted and grounded in that, your projection is going to be off. So when you're looking for the job of your dreams, when you're looking for the mate of your dreams, when you're looking for money, when you're looking for property, when you're looking for being active and influential in your community, you're looking for all of these things, what are you projecting? What is it that you convey, portray, or manifest to the world? Because if you're not conveying, projecting, or manifesting the right things, the things that you want cannot come to you, because everything that you know of is made of love. See, people, let me say this, that common theology, modern theology, is still stuck in ancient ways and customs. And people say, well, it's tradition, and the traditions have to be upheld. And we have to always do things, it's like the 7 great words of anything that's dying, we've always done it that way. Everything else, medicine, metallurgy, chemistry, medicine, engineering, art, any other discipline that you could think of has advanced. Everything else has advanced. But theology, for some reason, is stuck in an ancient paradigm. And then people wonder, why is this not working? Well, for the same reason that if in medicine that they were using bleeding to cure diseases or putting leeches on people to cure diseases, if you were doing that same sort of thing today, it wouldn't work. Why? Because the understanding of medicine has advanced. Likewise, we need to advance our theology. Listen, in Romans it says that all of creation groans for the earnest expectation and the manifestation of the sons of God. Listen, these sons of God cannot manifest until theology moves forward. Theology has to move forward in order to really reveal what these sons of God are and what they are to be, so that they can know what to do. And all of creation is groaning for mankind to come up to this level of understanding. But we're stuck. I mean, listen, we can't even get past eternal conscious torment. And I'm going to tell you something. If you look at God and God is love, there is absolutely no way that hell can possibly be justified other than you as an individual have an axe to grind with somebody and you think that they ought to get theirs in the end. That's the only way that the doctrine of hell survives, is because people believe that other people have to get theirs, or that there has to be some segregation in the afterlife. In other words, well, I was good and I lived here and I did this, so I should be rewarded, but these heathens that lived here and look like this and worship like this, well, they need to get theirs. See, that's the way the doctrine of hell works. But we can't even get past that. I mean, and that's Stone Age theology, y'all. That just absolutely is something that is completely behind the curve, and modern religion thrives on it. They're not. Let me say this: modern religion is not. They're not stuck on the doctrine of hell, because stuck means that, well, I'm in a zone where I don't really understand. No, they are purposefully pitching their tents there. And that's a big difference, because when you pitch your tent into something that you know is not right, then basically everything else, you can't have anything else that's right. Because, again, we're talking about the law of attraction. What you project is what you can expect. So if you're projecting punishment, hell, condemnation, judgment, if those are the things that you project, that's all you can expect. You can't expect anybody to come in with loving arms and say, hey, how do I get some of this? But watch this. If you are projecting love, if you're projecting love for yourself, love for your Creator, love for all of creation, love for your family, love for your community, love for your business, love for your customers, love, if this is what you project, then you have every expectation that that's what will come back to you. So I want to wrap up by saying that this law of attraction is rooted and grounded in love. And that if you are not operating in love, if you haven't awakened, quickened, become active to love in you and love manifesting through you, then what you're projecting, is the image is going to be bad. That's just like if you take an actual projector, like say a LED projector, and you're projecting, say, a PowerPoint image, and you're projecting something for your job, and basically, let's say you're projecting on the screen something of a financial model. Well, if the financial model is incorrect, or if you happen to be projecting a cartoon of Tom and Jerry, guess what? People are not going to see what it is that you are trying to convey, and they will not get your why. And that's the other thing. Identity helps you understand your why. And a lot of people struggle, and they strain and they fail because they don't understand their why, because they don't understand their identity. And all of this goes back to the law of attraction. You have to know who you are and love who you are, and know that your Creator loves you, and that you reflect that love back to your Creator before you can love anyone or anything else. Because if the image is bad, I'll say it again as I get ready to close. This is a Baptist close. I just said closing twice. What you project is what you can expect. And if you're projecting the wrong thing, you can only get the wrong thing. And if you catch this, I promise you, you will transform your life in a way that you have never imagined. You will see things happen and come to pass and be manifest in your life that you just could not possibly have imagined. It will be greater than what you ever thought or could believe. So that's what I have for you today. I pray that it blesses you. And if this video blesses you, please consider sharing it with others that they too might be blessed. And remember, as always, that God loves you, and so do I. You're loved and valued. Stay blessed.